Hey everybody. So today I want to talk about how to use ACT, or acceptance and commitment therapy, to help with tough life decisions. Um, I work a lot with clients who may be in careers that they're not sure if they're going in the right direction, if they should leave a job, go to another job, or clients who are in relationships where it seems okay, but they're not sure if they should try something different. And ACT, acceptance and commitment therapy, can be really helpful for when we're faced with really tough life decisions. Um, Decisions are hard, not because we typically don't have all the facts. Often we've done a lot of thinking around, do I stay in what I'm doing? Do I make a change and do something else? Do I stay with this person? Do I go look for someone different? The facts, all the information we have, is usually not what leads to ambivalence or procrastination or struggle. It's actually the thoughts and feelings we have around it. So if I stay, I might feel like things are at least predictable or safe, even though I may be burned out or frustrated. If I make a different choice, I move into the unknown, and that feels uncomfortable. Anxiety, worry. I may fear failure or regret. That's a really important thing, because it's those thoughts and feelings of what we potentially will experience that often lead us to staying kind of stuck. So, where ACT offers something different is it proposes, don't make decisions based on your thoughts and your feelings that you're having, but make them based on your values. Use your values as a framework. Now, a real quick definition of values, and I have a lot of good blog posts on my website about this if you want to read more. Values are the things that you find meaningful, that make your life worth living. It's the direction you want to go in your life. Goals are different. Goals are things you accomplish or achieve. They might be destinations along the way, but the direction you want to go is your values. So values are things like growth or stability or creativity, things like that. There's lots of different kinds. And what ACT would say is, rather than letting your feelings and your thoughts guide your decision making, let what makes your life meaningful help you choose. Now, how do you find out what your values are if you're not sure? There's a lot of different ways to do this, but one of the simplest would be to simply fast forward 5 years from now and imagine your future self thinking, I've made some really good decisions. I like the direction my life is going. I like what I've built. At times it was probably really tough to get here, but I'm really happy with the life I have and I find it very meaningful. What would that be, right? What would you be talking about? That will point you to your values. And so what ACT proposes is, if you have to make a really hard choice, you definitely want to get all the information you can and think about the things that get scary about it, but you also want to see, if you make this choice, either to stay where you're at or do something different, what does it move you toward? So I want to give you a little step-by-step about how you can do this. And I'm writing a blog post that will go into detail so you can refer to that and read more. But a really simple way to do this is to start, first of all, by naming the choices and specify. Choice one is, and I'll just use the job one, I will stay in this job. And that means I will have, this is what my life will look like if I stay on this job. Or two, I will quit this job, search for a new job, go find another job. And what does that mean? Okay, step two is to write down for each of those all of your thoughts, feelings, beliefs, concerns about each of them. Notice this is not a pros cons list. It's like actually about, what are you experiencing internally when you think about making this choice versus making this choice, okay? Next, you got your columns, right? You got choice one, choice two, all the things you feel and are thinking and are concerned about. Then, see what values each choice moves you toward. And that's important because you're going to want to make your decision based on which value you want to move toward. In fact, that'll lead into the next thing. So the fourth thing would be look at the things that seem really uncomfortable with each choice and ask which of those are you willing to have. So just as an example, if choice one is stay in this job, I might have a value around stability. The job is predictable, it pays well, I know every day what to expect, but I am going to have to experience feelings of burnout, frustration, dissatisfaction. Okay? So that is what I'm going to have to be willing to have if I continue to make this choice. Choice two, I go get a new job. I will hopefully move toward a value of growth in my career or being able to learn new things, some other value. But I'll probably have the fear of what if I have regret? What if it doesn't work out and I feel like a failure? What if everything I hoped for doesn't happen and I have to do it again? Then decide which of those you're more willing to have. ACT, what's really important, what I love about ACT is it basically says life is going to throw pain at us. We're not going to be able to escape these things. So which one are you more willing to have? Then commit to the direction you want to go, not the outcome. So the outcome, if you chose to go for the new job, for example, is I want to commit to growth. I want to commit to growth in my career. It may be this job I'm going for, it may be another one, but that's what I want to move toward. So just to summarize that, way to think of it is ACT says take your choices, get really clear on all the feelings and thoughts and other experiences that come up for you, but then get clear on your values. Decide which value you want and decide what discomfort, what thoughts, feelings, experiences, etc. you'd be willing to have. Now, one thing that I want to leave you with is, okay, so let's say you make that decision. I'm going for this rather than this. Fine. How do you learn to trust yourself in this? How do you learn to trust the decision? One thing to keep in mind is that decisions are not life sentences. They never are. So if I pick the job one, if you decide to go for this new job, it might be the best thing to move you toward your value of career growth for right now, but it might not later. Or you might go for the job and realize it doesn't work, so then you have to go for another job. Nothing that you do is going to be for life. So there will be further decisions along the way. Nothing's permanent. The other thing you can do is if you're naming that this is going to be really tough. What if I feel regret or fear failure? Learning to work with those feelings, not just be struggling and suffering in them, is really powerful. And that's something that ACT is great at. I have a lot of resources on how to work with thoughts that are really challenging, how to work with uncomfortable feelings. That is all part of this process. And remember that you can, if you say you make the decision and you start moving toward it, every day you can ask yourself, am I moving toward this thing that is meaningful? Even if failure happens or it goes wrong or it's not what you predicted, you can ask yourself, did I make a choice that moved me toward what I want? Even if the choice didn't work out. That's the difference between goals and values. Values are still the direction we want to go. I hope this is helpful. Again, I have a blog post where I'll go into more detail about this, but I welcome any questions about this. I posted this because it's the end of the year and a lot of people are taking stock. And so I hope this is helpful.